Good morning and very warm welcome on today's Geometry Art Workshop. The art workshop today is going to be in two parts. In part one, we're going to have a short introduction on geometry and the approach where we're going to follow to explore the mindset that would help create good quality geometric patterns. And we're going to introduce the tools that we need for drawing geometry. Then we're going to move to part two, and in part two, it will be a practical step-by-step instructions on how to draw a geometric pattern inspired by Alhambra. Geometry is the study of number in space, and it is one of the 7 liberal arts that were taught at Plato's Academy. The liberal arts were taught to the student to help liberate or to assist in liberating the mind from the tyranny of attachments. There are 3 levels of studying geometry. There is the technical drawings for everyday objects. There is the mathematical aspects, which is the use in the angles and work out the numeric value of various calculations and problem solving. And then there is the geometry as the science of the soul. And in this approach, it's contemplative, reflective, and we are taking part in an art that Socrates considered the art of the ever true. The art of the ever true. The mindset that we need to think about when we're approaching geometry is in a way to put ourselves in or participate in the mindset of the geometer or the craftsman, the tiler who created the geometry. In the times when Alhambra was built, often the apprenticeship who's learning the skill is also the guilds of all the crafts were often also spiritual teaching schools and Sufi schools. So the apprenticeship is going to learn to cultivate certain qualities, certain disciplines that will help his spiritual development as well as bringing the quality into his work. So it's a journey. It's a journey that the person take inwardly and express outwardly. When we approach drawing geometry in this manner, we are awakening and strengthening our organ of perception. So we have our outer senses, but we also have an inner organs or centers of consciousness. And sometimes it's called the organ of truth. When we're doing geometry, we're participating in cosmic laws that govern our universe. And in a way, when we're drawing geometry, we're losing ourselves to find our true self. The instruments or tools you need when you're drawing geometry is primarily the compass. That is the main instrument. And for those masters who created the incredible artwork of all times, like this compass is the compass that Leonardo da Vinci drew, and it's his compass he's drawing. And you can see the detail and the beauty and the care that he took in representing the compass, because for all these old masters, the compass is considered a sacred tool. They are reflecting the cosmic laws, the nature. So they approached it with reverence. The compass has two legs, the still leg and the moving leg. And in all that, there is so much symbolism. The other instrument that you will need is the straight edge. Often we use a ruler, but it can be any straight edge. And it will help us draw the straight lines between the centers or where, intercepting circles. And if you look at nature, you will see that with the compass and the straight edges, with the curves and the straight line, all of nature is made of curves and straight lines. Before we move into our practical session, we're gonna look at Alhambra, our inspiration for today's pattern. And in Alhambra itself, you can see the work of the compass. You can see the beauty of the harmony that is created by learning that geometrical science and art, and how they created beauty that creates an environment of nourishment and peace when you're in such places, and when you're looking at art that has been drawn with that in mind. And in Alhambra, we have a very rich traditional Islamic geometry that we've seen the height of the geometric patterns and the richness. And from that, we have chosen the pattern on the right. And that pattern of the right is a dance of threeness and sixness. And I'm going to touch on the symbolism of those threeness and sixness as we're going through the practical session. When I start drawing, I like to start with this invocation, which I've learned from our late teacher, Professor Keith Critchlow. This invocation is from his book, 108 Meditations on the True, the Beautiful, and the Good. And it's always good before you start your drawing to center yourself, take a few breaths, and find the stillness that will help your mind create accurate drawings, which will help you create good quality patterns. May we be guided by truth. May we have beauty revealed to us. May it result in the good. May we be guided by truth. May we have beauty revealed to us. May it result in the good. We are now have our drawing board, a piece of paper. I'm using a 3, so slightly bigger paper. This is my compass. This is my straight edge. And this is my pencil. And I always also keep handy a small piece of sandpaper. Sometimes I need to sharpen the edge of the compass to keep the circle at the right opening. So first of all, you need to, if you're using an A4 paper, make your compass between 3.5 centimeters to 4 centimeters so the whole pattern can fit in. And the first thing we're going to do is our very first circle. We use the the fixed leg of the compass, and we find our very first still point, and we make sure it's stable, and then we take the moving leg around the 360 degrees and draw the first circle. From the first, now we have our first circle. We're now going to draw the primary flower, geometric flower, which is the 6 petal flowers. And the circle naturally unfold into the sixness, as you can see. So if you put your fixed sharp end on the edge of the circle, and you start from the central point that we started with, and you go around carefully, slowly, and you have your first circle. From the intersection of the two circles, we place our fixed leg with the fixed point, with the sharp fixed point exactly on that point, so we can create our second circle. And we're gonna go all the way around the circle till we create 6 circles around the central circle. So again, we take our sharp end of the fixed leg and we go around. That's the we carry on the same process. I'm having the technology recording slightly in the way, but hopefully you can still see me well. So again, we put our the focus of our straight or of our fixed leg, and then we start the circle very slowly, and go around. And the final circle now you have your 6 petal flower. You can see it very well. There you go. And what we're going to do is we're going to name them, so when we are giving instructions it's easier for you to follow. So you can, the top right circle, we're going to call it, I think we're going to start, from the top left. So that's A, B, C, D, E, F. Now we have the 6-petal flower, and that is the primary geometry flower, the base of many, many patterns that we're going to use today, and you can use in many other patterns. The next step, after naming the circles, we are going to number some points that we need. So the first point we're going to number is if we go to circle A, and the center of circle A, that's our first point, so we're going to call it 1. If you look at the original circle, the 6-petal flower circle, and can you see the triangle? So every other petal, if you can see it, we're going to mark this triangle point. So the center of circle C, this point, and the center of circle E, this point. So those are the inner circle points, and they are going to be the odd numbers, 1 and 3 and 5. Then we're going to move towards the outer circle, and we're going to mark the point of the bigger petal. So if you can see here, we have a bigger petal between circle B and circle C. That point where they meet is going to be number 4. Number 2. And then again we need the triangle. Can you see the dance of the 3ness and the 6ness in the pattern already? So we have this triangle, so we're going to mark the point between circle D and E, and the point between F and A. So this one was 2, this one is going to be 4, and this one's going to be 6. So the inner circle is odd number, the outer circle is going to be even numbers, and we're almost ready. We only need one more point, which we are going to need our straight edge to mark it. So we put the straight edge between the original center and point number 1 and the parallel point to it, the center of circle D. So you have here the center of circle A and the center of circle D, and if you kind of put the straight edge and then you mark where the straight edge meet at the edge of circle A. That point is going to be our beginning point, and you will soon see how that works. I'm just going to give you a minute to catch up, to put all the numbers in the right place, and to mark the beginning point. We are now going to do the pattern again. That gives you a chance to catch up if you are still a little bit delayed, or if you're needing to redo it because the circles are not coming together. But it's also to show you how to draw a hexagon inside the pattern. So I'm going to run through the same steps. and you can follow, you can do it with me as I'm doing it, because you roughly know what we're doing. So this is your fixed edge at the center point and your moving circle, and then we're going to divide the circle into its natural axis on the from the point where they meet, make it the center for the next circle and go all the way around. From the center where they meet is our next center, and go all the way around, and the circle should really meet the other centers very neatly. So you have the center point and it touches the other centers, go all the way around, and the final one. We're going to do what we did the first time, which is naming them. So we're going to name the top left A, top right B, and then carry on clockwise C, D, E, and F. And we're going to put some number some points to make it easy for us to follow the instructions. So the center of circle A is going to be our first point. So if we can mark it and number it as 1. In the beautiful original circle where we have the 6 petals, we're going to look at the 3 central ones, and on that circle we're going to find another point and the third point. So we have the 3, you can see the 3-ness within the 6-ness. So the center of circle C and the center of circle E. The center of circle C is going to be number 3. The center of circle E is going to be number 5. And we need to find other points that we need, which is going to be where circle B and circle C meet up. That's going to be our second point. Where circle D and circle E are meeting is going to be number 4. And where circle F and circle A meet is going to be number 6. So again, you have the triangle. You can see that triangle in the bigger circle. Now we need to use our straight edge to mark the first point. So to do that, we're gonna align number 1, the center, and the petal opposite. So once we align them, we can mark where our straight edge meets circle A, and that's our first point, or the point. So we're now ready to start drawing. We are going to put our fixed edge on number 1 in the center, and we're going to start the first curve. I'm going to do this slightly faster because you're now familiar with what's going to happen. So from number 2 we pick up, go through number 3 all the way till it meets C, and from number 3 we're gonna go all the way till we reach the original circle, and from where he left we go through number 5, and from number 5 is all the way, and from number 6 is when we reach this point we hit the camera, so we need to find another way. The next step is drawing the hexagon within the center, within the pattern. And to do that, we are going to use our straight edge, and we're gonna mark the point, a point that we need to find the inner circle. So we're going to use point 2 into the center, into the opposite petal. So once we find that alignment, we mark the point. And we're going to adjust our compass so it's on that and we're going to draw a circle inside Now that we have found the inner circle, our next step is finding the 6 points within the circle. Those 6 points will help us to draw the hexagon and will help us draw the star within our pattern. So to get the 6 points, again, we try to always in geometry to use 3 points to mark a new point to get the best accuracy. So we're going to use the central point and 4 and the other side of the petal from 4. So we have 1, 2, 3 points, and those 3 points will help us mark where our straight edge meet the inner circle on both sides. And then we'll do the same between the center and point number 2 and the opposite petal. So if we make sure the straight edge is aligning those 3 points, and then we mark where the straight edge meets the inner circle on both sides, and then we do that with point 6 and the petal opposite. So that's where it meets the inner circle. So now we have our 6 points. Those 6 points will help us draw the hexagon. So to draw the hexagon, what we do is join the points alongside the circle, and I will show you how we did that here. So you just join them, and then you have the hexagon, and then you can either color the hexagon in one color and leave the outside, or do them in two colors. You'll see in the pattern, the artist geometer have used it in different ways. The other thing we can use our 6 points to do is to draw the star within the pattern. And to do that, we need to go back to our threeness and the triangles. So we will join this triangle together, and that will make what is called the triangle of grace. So that is the triangle of grace. So you just literally join those 3 points, and then to join the other 3 points, these ones, you will have the triangle of aspiration. So here's your triangle of aspiration. So that will give you the shape of the star. Here, this is the triangle of grace, and this is the triangle of aspiration. And you can just highlight the star on those two triangles, and then when you color, you can color the star inside the pattern, or do it the other way, color the outside bit and leave the star to stand out. You can see how the artist used it in the pattern. They've used it in all sorts of ways, and you will be able also to be very creative and bold as well, and enjoy experimenting and see what you can come up with. To recap our drawing session, and to remind you of the key steps, the first one is finding the center, the still points, and the first circle, the symbol of heaven. I find this Tagore describes the process we done very beautifully. The center is still and silent in the heart of an eternal dance of circles. The center is still and silent in the heart of an eternal dance of circles. From our first circle, we found the 6-petal flower, the natural unfolding of the circle. And the sixness, Ibn Arabi observed the inner and outer aspects of the universe and our relationship to it. And he said that the sixfold pattern can be considered the heavenly view of creation. The 6 is a symbol of creativity, and it is the perfect number because 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6. 1 times 2 times 3 equals 6. You can see this also, like the phases of the moon around the sun. There are lots of symbolism in the 6 that we might be able to touch on another time. We learned about the flow of the threeness into sixness, or the interweaving between three and the six in this pattern, and the steps that we need to remember to recreate the pattern. And we learned how to put the hexagon inside the pattern, and some of the choices that we can color it in to create your own artwork. When we're learning about doing the star inside the smaller circle, we started with the triangle of grace, and in the triangle itself represents consciousness, and the right side of the triangle here, it represents the descendant or the inspiration, and then the straight part of the triangle represents fixation, the journey, the action that we take after from intuition or inspiration. And then the third leg of the triangle on the left represents return or the reflection. We also draw the triangle of aspiration on the left side, and the kind of joining of the two triangles create the 5-pointed star, which you can you can include inside the pattern, or also if you would like to draw it on its own as well. And I'm going to introduce very shortly how to build a grid, to create the square on the right. If after you practice this first pattern and you want to kind of make a more complex pattern, so you can see in the middle, we start with the original circle, and then we draw the 3 intercepting circles around it, and then from those 3 circles we need to work out the center of another 3 circles that are touching the original circle. And from those 3 new circles that are touching the original circle, you do what we did the first time. You draw the pattern, and you will see emerging the grid that is on your left. So with patience and with dedication and practice, you can slowly build the grid, and then you can obviously choose to color it in almost infinite ways. There are so many ways of choosing what to color and what to leave, and what contrasts or harmony to choose. And finally, you need to know that the seer and the seen, the one who finds and what is found, the knower and the known, the creator and the created, the perceiver and the perceived are one. And these are the quotes from Ibn Arabi, the theologian who lived in Andalusia, in the region of Alhambra, where our pattern came from. So thank you very much for joining us today.